Dr. Kunmo Chung. He's an internationally known energy engineer and science policy specialist. He served twice as Minister of Science and Technology in the South Korean government when Korea was rapidly developing. Professor Chung also served as President and CEO of the Korean Academy of Science and Technology, as President of the Korea Power Engineering Company, and as Chairman and CEO of the Korea Science and Engineering Foundation. His international roles include President of the General Conference of the International Atomic Energy Agency of the United Nations, Vice Chairman of the World Energy Council, and Chairman of the International Nuclear Energy Academy. He is a member or fellow of learned academies in the US, Korea and Sweden, and of several international professional bodies. Dr. Chung has held professorial positions at universities in the US, Korea and Switzerland, and is credited with the establishment of KAIST, one of the leading science and engineering universities in Korea. Currently, Dr. Chung is Distinguished Invited Professor at Aju University in Korea, Distinguished Research Professor at George Mason University in Virginia in the USA, as well as holding several high-level advisory roles to private and government bodies in Korea, Kenya and the United Arab Emirates. Again, after Dr. Chung's lecture, there will be an opportunity for asking questions, and again, I encourage you to do so. Dr. Chung, I invite you to present your lecture, Mathematics, a Fundamental Pillar of Korean Economic Development.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Well, first of all, it's really an honor for me to be here, particularly those mathematicians from emerging nations. I'd like to welcome distinguished speakers. I enjoyed your talk, Professor Hamshek, and also honored guest, and many of you who are visiting Korea for the first time. Welcome to Korea. I was reluctant to accept this invitation initially because I was supposed to talk about achievement of Korea. And whenever I try to teach our students, I have been emphasizing humility. So if you talk about achievement, I may not be a man of humility. So I was reluctant. I have been always teaching my students that hard work is the most important virtue. And I'm telling them humanity is really important character for us, particularly among learned people. And I said always, have hope all the time. As many of you have heard, Korea had been occupied for 36 years by Japan. And we got our independence after Second World War. In fact, the Republic of Korea was born by the resolution of the United Nations. I guess many of you may not know this fact, but by the resolution of the United Nations, we were born in 1948. Well, but we had the Korean War. At that time, North Korea, with the help of Soviet Union and China, invaded South Korea. and we lost most of whatever we had. So 1950s, we are really a poor nation, destroyed nation. We had per capita income about $76. That's all. And from there, for the last 60 years, we made our best effort to improve our nation. Yes, it was not easy, but we tried, and you may see the result of our remarkable transformation of a poor nation. In 2012, Korea became the 7th member of 2050 Club. Do you know what 2050 Club? Per capita income more than $20,000 and population more than 50 million. That's why Korea became the 10th largest economy in the world. At the same time, Korea had rapidly achieved democratization politically. This is very important. Yes, economic development is important, but political democracy is very important. And also, let me tell you about cultural upstart in Korea. Have you heard about Mr. Psy, a singer and a rapper, and Mr. Psy's Gangnam Style? This is Gangnam of Gangnam Style. So Mr. Psy's performance viewed by more than 2 billion people over YouTube. So Korea is now really making move, not only economics, but also politically and culturally. I want to emphasize this point because after all, money is not everything. We have to have our freedom and we have to have our culture. See, here you can see why Korea made it. Well, we had visionary leaders. Leaders are very important. Devoting leaders with a vision for the future. And we had bold enterprises. The companies we had, and they were very bold in making investment. They did not enjoy their own wealth, but they made the investment for the future. And emerging academia. But most of all, we have hard-working population. You see, let me tell you this point clearly first. Mathematics is very important in our life. It has been all the time. That I will elaborate more later on. And we found out mathematics is the basic in many, many fields. Not only just mathematics, science, but in nation building, we need engineering and economic theories, management, and all over. And we found out the mathematics has been the base of that important aspects of life. Education, science, technology, and overall the cultural improvement or transformation has been key for our development. Let me now share with you our experience more in detail. See, our country until 1950 is really agricultural country. You see our country here, and since Korean War swept the country, we are really in hardship. But the hardship awakened us. We saw the world. Because United Nations not only gave us independence, but United Nations force defended our freedom. And in doing so, they taught us how people can sacrifice their lives and how people made very good living. So, during the Korean War, from suffering, we learned through awakening. Koreans ignited our hearts with the idea of this phrase, let's pursue a better living standard. We can do it. So let's pursue the better living standard. This seems a desperate slogan, but we believed in it. We believe. And we thought diligence can bring that first. Let me tell you one interesting statistics. There was a research done in that time, how many steps one can take in 1 minute. Do you know Americans took 25 strides. British walked 29 strides. Japanese 35. And at that time, Koreans 56. So we thought moving fast can move us. And we said that diligence is the best virtue for our desire. And in many overseas restaurant, they say when they see Koreans, 빨리 means fast. They eat fast, and they like to be served fast. 빨리 is a kind of a nickname of Koreans. Now, I think it is paid off in a sense. Well, in 17th century, there was an explorer named Hendrik Hamel, and he wrote a book to Europeans saying, The Journey of Hendrik Hamel, in late 17th century again. In this book, he wrote, Korean children are always reading books, day and night. It is such a wonder that children understand that complicated books. Yes, we taught children from age of 3 on. And very difficult Chinese characters. So Mr. Hamel thought this is very difficult book. Then a French naval officer, Jean-Henri Joubert, in the late 19th century visited, and he also wrote. And what he said is, it is admirable that books are present in every household, including poor ones in Korea. He found books, even very poor household. He was amazed. Maybe he thought books are only for the rich people, but in Korea, never. The Korean tradition of stressing scholarship and the learning is really the base of our recovery from the destroyed nation in 1950s. In 1960s, there were increasing number of people who sold their lands and cows, to the farmers, selling land and cows. That's giving up the major resource of their livelihood. But they did. For what? To give education to their children. Because they believed in education and they thought today's difficulty is okay, but tomorrow's hope is more important. These people devoted their whole lives on education to make their children have a better life in the coming days. There is nothing stronger than the conviction of making their children successful through education. Again, in that education, mathematics has been at the center. This is very important, right? Professor Harcheng mentioned about learning language and mathematics. From elementary school, Koreans are trained to develop mental arithmetic skills and abacus. This provided basic knowledge of math to many Koreans even before the launch of International Mathematical Olympiad. Korea had national math competitions for elementary and middle school students in 1950s. In the third grade exam, I recall, we had to prove Pythagorean theorem. This gives a good idea of the level of math education in Korea back then. In middle schools, most honor students joined mathematics group, society. I was really honored to be chosen to be a member of the mathematical groups. It was imperative to have good math scores in order to enter prestigious schools. Math differentiated the student, and hence student had spent more time on mathematics. The vision of making Korea a modern nation and the importance of education were closely linked. Education and training math skills was recognized as the nucleus of academic excellence and the scholastic aptitude. Well, this was the way it was. From 1970s, manufacturing companies of automobiles, shipbuilding, ships, steels, and electronics began to emerge in Korea. Oil shock accelerated Korean companies to expand overseas construction business. From 1980s, the Korean government pushed Korean industrialization, particularly export-oriented industrialization. Korean policy makers saw the need of a highly trained human resources in order to push export-oriented industrialization. In the export market, you have to be the best, otherwise you cannot sell your product. So you need top engineers. They also recognize the importance of R&D work and indigenous capability which calls for higher level of mathematics. Luckily, I could play an important role in that era. In the late 1960s, Dr. John A. Hanna, then the president of Michigan State University, gave me a scholarship to study at school, but he became head of USAID after Nixon was elected as President of the United States. Dr. Hanna accepted my proposal to build an advanced institute of science and technology to raise human resources in science and engineering. I had to overcome many difficulties, but I was able to set up KAIST, Korea Advanced Institute of Science Technology. In 1971, it was opened. Well, the school was, they say, after MIT, but not really exactly. The school was to pursue better living standard for Koreans, to help industry, to make advances of the society. According to the survey by the Embassy of the Republic of Korea in the United States, then only 260 Korean professors in America were available, but half of them were engaged in natural science and engineering. I had toured the entire US and I tried to recruit faculty members. You see on this slide, my younger day, I was only 31 years old at that time. And I think Professor Hanulchek, you know the other person, Dr. Thurman, who used to be provost of Stanford University. And the other American gentleman is Dr. Long of Cornell University. He was vice president. And I was able to recruit 50 professors for KAIST. I thought it was necessary to focus on applied fields to achieve economic development in short time. I confess to you, that time I said, before getting Nobel Prize, let's win the market. That was my excuse. Some people accuse me saying that, why don't we have any Nobel Prize winner yet? I told them, yes, we'll have many Nobel Prizes in coming years, but we got to eat first. We got to feed people. We got to make industry going. Then we can afford to have basic sciences and technology development more in fundamental basic technology. The government regulation on studying abroad became relaxed because previously we were limited to take only $100 to go abroad. So we had to study during daytime and we had to work during the nighttime to support ourselves. But economic development allowed us to go abroad and study fully on those subjects. Well, those people who were trained abroad came back to Korea as the professors, as engineers, and policymakers. I think this is why I can say that initial emphasis on mathematics, which go through in many disciplines, made the best move to make the pillar for the economic development in this country, like IT or whatever, energy, nuclear power plant, which I have been engaged ever since. Well, how come Korea produces world's finest semiconductors while people there do not publish research papers on the subject? This was a question raised by German scientists. And the answer was this: we are so busy in doing work. And like publishing papers is for the public good. It is not to generate own resources, but it's providing free knowledge to people who are reading those papers. So people say science is public consumption industry, whereas engineering is for the benefit of those innovators. Well, I think this is more or less correct. And therefore, many Koreans went into engineering. Even today, as you know, even advanced countries, engineers make good CEOs because they do have not only scientific skills, but also they know how to make values. And companies look for those people who can do that. Well, from 1980s, the ratio of engineering doctoral degrees has been rising very significantly. It is observed that the ratio of engineering graduate after 2000 is very high in Korea compared to those of other countries. As there are more students in engineering, it becomes easier to find necessary people for each front-end science technology disciplines. Also, among the PhD holders, the ratio of science technology PhD holders increased quite a bit. It was evident in 1980s. Well, those who did well in math had entered engineering schools, and it was necessary to have a good math background to attend good universities. There is an exceptional record that illustrates how much Korean students have focused on mathematics. Well, if you say which book is read mostly, you know the answer, that's the Bible. However, which book is the next after Bible, most read by students? Well, there is one book for high school students. It's a book on mathematics, because one teacher was excellent in teaching, and he wrote this book, Mr. Hong Sung-dae. And he sold so many books of his own because it was well written and good, provided good mathematical education. Well, the mathematical education in universities had a different picture from that in high school. In 1970s, almost every university had a mathematical department, but there were not enough good professors, quality professors, who could teach well, direct the student well, and do research. You see, as I said, at that time, our product, our PhDs had to be from the abroad. So our students went to the other developed countries. Well, we also lacked textbooks. We didn't have enough textbooks. So the materials for advanced math back then in Korea was very poor. Consequently, it was hard to keep up with the cutting-edge development in mathematics abroad, and there was nearly no interaction with the foreign university, very little interaction, and insufficient, and the attendance to overseas meetings was poor. Well, developing semiconductor and CDMA technology during 80s, and later also IT industry was only possible through the workers and the engineers who had actively applied their math skills in the workplace. So those industries made very important economic advances and gradually looked for good mathematicians, domestically and from abroad. Well, let me tell you about the third phase of our development. That is from 1990s and 2000. People came to realize that even though following developed nations, technology was successful in Korea and making economic development for late starters, Korea now has to compete against advanced nations, and we have to develop our own technology, our own innovations. Otherwise, we have been followed all the time. So we changed our phase in 1990s. You see, our approach up to that time were more good follower, but from then on, we have to change our strategy to strengthen our research capability and our innovative potential. In 1987, I was called upon my government to head Korea Science Foundation, not U.S. Science Foundation. We didn't have that much money, but we wanted to support researchers. That particular institution is called National Research Foundation now. As head of that particular institution, I had an idea. Not only engineering, but also pure science should be promoted. So I convinced economic policymakers that we should start science research centers and engineering research centers. Science research centers should be very important to promote basic science, including mathematics. So, as I show you on this slide, there were centers of excellence in mathematics. We started from 1990s. Math community was benefited from this project, starting from topology and geometry research center at Gyeongbuk National University. Several mathematical SRCs were formed. We had the Global Analysis Research Center at Seoul National University, Algebraic Structure and its Application Research Center at KAIST, Partial Differential Equation and the Functional Analysis Research Center at Seoul National University, Geometry and its Application Research Center at PostTech. These SRCs have advanced math research in Korea. See, the difference from traditional mode of research support was this. I said these centers should be supported to 9 years. Of course, every 3 years we had the reviews. And not just small money, but let's have at least $1 million every year to these research centers, so that researchers have stability and they don't have to chase around money. They should do what they could do. And then in first half of 1990s, I had the idea, maybe we should have a center, a national institute for basic theoretical studies. So that time, Phil Griffith of Princeton's Institute of Advanced Study is a very good mathematician, by the way. And we made a good friend because I was at Princeton University and attended a weekly seminar at Advanced Study Institute. I thought maybe we should start that kind of institution. So I proposed Korea Institute of Advanced Study, KIAS, and that KIAS was born. And like today, I am so pleased because Professor Park, who just became one of your steering committee member or executive committee, he spent time at KIAS. And I see KIAS is now ranked among one of the top think tanks in the world. I'm so happy to see that. And then also we set up National Institute for Mathematical Sciences, NIMS, so that mathematicians can pursue their own research in a coordinated way. Well, this is a very good move, in my opinion, because it's turning out the impact to the Korean science and technology. You see, we heard about PISA, and according to PISA, Program for International Student Assessment, we did very poorly earlier, but now Korea, among Korean students, 31% ranked in level 5, and above in math, whereas the average of those OECD countries were 13% in 2012. Korea belonged to the highest category in this assessment. This reflects enhancement of math education and the concentrate investment we made by the policymakers. Well, we also set up science high schools and education center for talented students and universities. Those efforts were observed in the record of a Korean IMO result. Participating in IMO for the first time in 1988, Korea was ranked 22nd place. But now we are ranked in top tier. I'm so happy. Hosting IMO in 2000, Korea emphasized the importance, development, and the roles of mathematics to general public, and those through this effort we raised our national awareness of the importance of mathematics. Continuing this trend, many talented students are coming to math department. Recently, in top schools, mathematics majors compete medicine majors for the top tier in science technology field. Among the 600 entering class students of KAIST in 1994, only 2% chose mathematics as their major. However, this changed to 10% in 2005 and 13% in 2010. People realized how important in mathematics, in making careers, not only in science engineering, but many other fields, economics, management, even politics. You have to have a basic skill in mathematics to promote your own career. Well, Korea as a late member of IMU, has been in Group 1 for 10 years, from 1981. And then it was promoted to Group 2 in 1993. After that, it steadily published remarkable research results that drew attention from the international mathematical community. In 2000, there was an epoch-making increase in the number of math papers in Korea, and the number of SCIE publication has increased enormously too. Being recognized with this development, Korea has been promoted from Group 2 to Group 4 at once in 2007. This is unprecedented in the history of IMU, I understand. Due to this result, international mathematical community started to view Korea math differently. And there are increasing number of non-math professors and specialists in Korea who recognize the importance of mathematics. Even though I am not a mathematician, I am proud of such achievement by the Korean specialists. You know, it's not really boasting it. I'm trying to tell my friends here that we can do it if we set the right vision and if we work hard and we go after through actions, not talking but through actions, we can do it. That's what I like to convey to you today. According to the reports measuring the economic benefits of mathematical science research in 2010, published by British Math Society in 2012, approximately 10% of all British jobs is related to mathematics. Math contributed 16% of added values in the British economy. If we extend this to all jobs in Britain, more than 45% of added value generation can be related to mathematical research directly or indirectly. On the other hand, the survey on the best occupation presented by a career cast this April draws our attention too. On the basis of working environment, income, and amount of stress, mathematics was ranked as the best job area. Congratulations, you are in that area. Besides mathematicians, statisticians was the number 3, actuaries was number 4, software engineers number 7, computer system analysts number 8. Then more than half of the top 10 American occupations were math related, and that shows indeed mathematics can take you, your younger people, to the better jobs. The current impact of mathematics on society and occupation is immeasurable with that of the 20th century. Fundamental basis of science and technology is, of course, mathematics. In many processes of making semiconductors or software packages or designs of complicated systems, mathematics is necessary. The core of automatic control in electrical engineering is mathematics. Risk governance should be based on mathematics. It was also based on mathematical ability. Electrical engineers of many disciplines, many industries can make the advancement. The last development of ICTs or financial engineering, you got to apply the latest mathematical development. In the creative economy of 21st century, people with the ability of learning new knowledge are more needed than a person of encyclopedia knowledge, creative knowledge. This is what we are trying to pursue in 21st century. Mathematics pose important new problems for the future that will be the sources of a creative economy. As the industry goes forward to cutting-edge technology, mathematics is needed more, and the contribution of mathematicians will increase accordingly. Well, because I'm an engineer, if I say the importance of mathematics, I can say to you, I'm not boasting, because I'm not a mathematician. You are. I'm looking forward. In the 19th century, Great Britain was the pioneering nation all over the world. In the 20th century, the United States was the premier nation because its influence is all over the world, and it did a beautiful work as well as some mistakes. But let's look at positive side. As I mentioned to you, without USAID help, Christ could not be here today. Without the intellectual cooperation with the Princeton's Institute of Advanced Study, KIAS cannot be here. Many universities in Korea, we looked at those countries doing well, and we want to do the same thing. Today's meeting, for this, we use the word nanon. What is nanon? Nanon in Korean means sharing. We like to share our successful experience, but also we want to share the possibility of making advancement. You see, I'm an advisor to Kenya, a country in Africa, and I was talking to the president. I said to him, look, I want to be your real friend. I like to share our experience, not only success, but failure experience, so that you can make a better development than Korea. And if you have the desire, you can do it. You have brilliant people in your country. Many of you came from emerging nations. You might wonder, maybe OECD countries have better brains. No, statistically, better brains are almost same. It's how we use that brains for the future. Nanon means let's work together hand in hand. Let's develop the world, global world together, and let's be not just self-centered, but let's do something for our friends, our neighbors. I am chairman of Korea Habitat. Korea Habitat for Humanity is building houses for the poor people. I have been working for 20 years for this volunteer work. I'm so happy. It's not to build houses for the people, but I found myself a human being with something to share with others. And they gave me happiness. Not only I gave them happiness, they gave much more meaning to my life. Well, Nanon here, we invited many people from developing countries. It's not just an action today alone. We will be your friends. We will work together with you so that the entire global world can be a better world, better living standard, happier world, and we should be together, one together. I'm really happy to see ICM is being held in Korea. And many distinguished mathematicians will be here giving excellent talks. But let's share again. And let's give our next generation better opportunities to develop. And mathematics is a pillar for economic, political, cultural development. That's what I'd like to share with you. Thank you.
Professor Chung, I would like to thank you on behalf of us all here for a heartwarming and encouraging message about Korea's challenges and successes. Now, you said you were going to leave us time for questions, but you haven't left us very much time. It was a wonderful talk, and I wonder if you mind if we ask you questions over our lunch break. Thank you. It was really a beautiful message, and we congratulate Korea and hope that many countries in next man hours would have similar stories to tell. I would like to invite us all now to have a lunch break. The place for the lunch is down one flight of stairs in rooms 307 and 308, but I'm sure someone will show us where to go. And we meet back here at 1:30 p.m. Thank you.